Welcome back to this tutorial, and in this tutorial we are going to look at how to handle unstructured data, and our special focus will be on document-oriented unstructured database systems, and we are going to use Mongo DB for this exercise. If you haven't installed Mongo DB and configured it in your computer, please watch the previous video. I have illustrated how to install it and integrate it within the VS Code Studio environment. So with that already done, we want to look at how we can, or the basics of document-oriented database systems. And in this first part of the video, we are just going to look at the basic CRUD operations, that is creating document databases and reading them, updating them, and deleting them. So once we do that, in the next or in the subsequent sections, we are going to undertake a project that involves analysis of unstructured data so that you become confident in handling this type of data in database systems like MongoDB. So with that already done, let me show you how you can link your database to your online Atlas account. If you haven't created that Atlas account, please watch the previous video. I have guide you on how to do that. So the first thing is to connect to the folder where you are working on, and in my case I've created a folder that I'm working on, and that folder is called NoSQL. So in your VS Code, just go to File and then Open Folder, and then navigate to the folder that you want to work from. The folder that I'm working from is on Documents, Technical, and then NoSQL, and that is going to be my folder for this project. Once we do that, the next thing is to create a file, or let's first of all link MongoDB to our computer, or rather let's just create a file first. So I'm going to create a file and have new file, and the name of this file is going to be week1.mongodb. So that is the extension of the file, and I'm going to save it under NoSQL folder that I've just created for this project, and there I have my file. And the next thing is to connect my MongoDB. So you just click on this MongoDB icon on your computer, and then click to connect, because we need to connect to our Atlas account. So you can either click add connection or just click here to connect. So either way works, and then click add new connection, and then this is the point where you go back to your online Atlas account. So mine, this is my online Atlas account. Click on connect. So make sure that you have already logged in. Click on connect, and then move down to MongoDB for VS Code. Click on this option, and then click this link here. It's already copied. And once you do that, the next thing is paste it here. And then here, at this point where you have got password in a square, in this kind of enclosing brackets, so you need to type your password there, and then that way. So I'm going to just type my dummy password. And then at the very end, you want to specify the name of your database. So in this case, I'm going to say my database is week 1 intro. And then once I do that, you just press enter on your keyboard, and your database is now connected. You can see now it's clearly connected. So that is to do with the how to set up to connect your VS Code to online account. So now that you have done that, the next step is to understand or to create a simple document that we are going to store in our database. And then later on, we're going to use that document to carry out basic functions so that you get comfortable before we move to the project phase of this tutorial. So for beginners, if you are working with document database systems, you are basically going to carry out 4 major operations. So these operations could be, they're normally referred as CRUD operations. So C to mean create. So you can create document, The next thing is usually read, R to mean read, and then we have U to mean update, and then the last one is D to mean delete. So whichever way you are working on database systems, these are the key operations that you'll be undertaking. So therefore, that's the purpose of this tutorial. And before we do that, I'll just want to illustrate for you the structure of database. So of this database system. So our database system is made up of the way document-oriented database systems are structured. They are structured into 5 major categories. So we have got the field, which if you consider the case of Excel, the field will be the column. So if you have got an Excel that contains the names of the people, the ID of the people, the address of the people, and then we have got maybe the city where those people live in. So each of those columns will be the field, and then the document will be the record that contain each individual person. So if you have got person A, whose name is John, and living in a city, maybe New York, and has got a certain address, then that person that counts as the document or the record in the case of Excel. So that will be in Excel format will be the row, and then the collection will be basically both the columns and the rows organized in a certain way. So in our case of Excel, it will be the table. So that will be the collection. And of course, if you store so many tables together, then you have what is known as the database. So the database here is basically a collection, or is a set of collections that are stored together. In most cases, they are related. So you can have a database of people, maybe their location, and then you have got a similar database of those people with their employment details. And then in another database, you have got the same people, but in this case, you are storing maybe their consumer, their purchasing history. So that will contain a database. So the key thing is knowing a field, which is in the case of Excel equates to a column, and then the document, which in the case of Excel equates to a record or a row, and then you have the collection, which is in the case of Excel equates to a table, and then a collection of those tables amounts to a database. So once we do that, we can dive straight to creating a simple table. But before we do that, I just want us to know that once we have already logged in, or we have already set up our database like this, we need to make sure that we are in that database. And to do that, we use the function use, and then we basically specify the name of our database. So if you remember when I was setting up my database, I used the name called week 1 intro. So I'll just say week 1 intro, so that I switch to that database. So here I am. This is a set of database. So are you sure you want to run this playground again? Let me just say yes. It should be able to run. And yeah, it tells me that the database already exists. So if I do that, that should not be a problem. So you can see my database here already exists because I've already switched to that database. So you can see in my database, I also have got other, in my Mongo DB, I have other connections or other database systems. We have got admin, local, travel, which were created previously. So with that, we can move now to the rest of this tutorial and start doing basic operations. So the first operation that I want us to do is to create a document or a collection that has got some data set, and then we can populate that collection so that we kind of understand how this is done. So I want us to create, assuming that we want to have a database of all English Premier League football clubs. So I'm going to use that as an example. I'm going to create a collection that stores. So in this case, the database is going to be, we have already defined our database. We called it week 1 intro. So that is the name of our database. And it's going to store a collection or documents about English Premier League. And each of those documents is going to have a record. So think of it in the context of what I was explaining previously. So we have got the database that will be the name of our database that I've just created, and it's known as a week 1 intro. And then that database is going to store documents or tables about clubs, and this time English Premier League clubs, and each of those clubs is going to have a document or a record. So I'm going to have a record of each club, maybe if it's Arsenal, if it's Manchester, if it's Liverpool. And then each of those clubs, again, they will have got specific attributes or columns, information about them, maybe how many Premier League titles do they have, what's their home ground, what's the capacity of their home stadium, and all that. So that is just to illustrate what we are going to do here. So to create a document, you just need to know the syntax, and the MongoDB website has got a lot of information about this, but for the purpose of this class, I'm just going to stick to some basic operations and syntax that will help you to work on the real projects when we get to the later section. So as I said previously, we are going to focus on these 4 main operations. The first one will be the create operation. So I will start with, let me just introduce comments. Create operation. And I want to create a database that is known as clubs, and that clubs will include all the English Premier League clubs. So I'm going to create a collection called clubs. So to do that, first of all, I use the word DB to mean database. And then for beginners, first of all, let's just give the general syntax so that you understand the syntax. And then once I give the general syntax, we use that general syntax to create a database, an example of database. So to create a collection, we use db.collection. This is the syntax. Then we are just inserting one record. So, and then we have got opening brackets, and then we have opening curly brackets. So that is the syntax. So the first thing is, now we can add the fields, which I told you is equivalent to a column in Excel spreadsheet or in relational database. So the first field, in my case, I would want us to have something that is of text. So I will say text field, and then we have got a full colon, and this has to be it will be a string. So this is just the syntax. Then you can also add boolean field. So these are basically yes or no, if you remember your introduction to Python. field. So it can be true, or why not, let's use, it's not a string, it can be true or false. And then we can have an integer field. So this will be a whole number for that case. Let's say it's 200. And then we have got a case where it's a float. So it's double field. For some reason, I don't know why I'm writing file instead of field. So this could be something like the weight of a person. Let's say this person weighs 45.6. You can also include the date format, so date field. So let's say that you want to include the birthday of a person. To do that, you will have to call a Mongo DB function called isodate. Isodate. Sorry, I autocomplete, but it didn't like that. And then opening and closing bracket. And the way you write this date, it comes in as a string. And the format is very, very particular. It's the year, which is a four figures, and then followed by the month, which is 2, and then the date or the day, which is again 2 integers. And then the next thing is you can have a list field, which sometimes it's just called an array. So this one can include anything. It can include, let's say it can include the height of this person, maybe 5.4, and maybe the units that you are using in string. So that will be string. And then the most interesting thing about, and this is now the power of what we call the unstructured data, is you can have nested fields, so fields that contain other information. So in this case, I can have nested field that will contain other fields. So this one will contain subfield 1. Maybe this person's favorite city, so that will be a string. And another subfield 2. Maybe how many times this person has visited that city. And maybe, and the last, so you can go on and on. So I'm gonna stop at subfield 3, which will be if he likes they like the city. So is it true or false? So I would say true, they love the city. Of course, it's their favorite city. So that is the syntax of creating a collection that contain only one record. So purposely the record of this person, which is just a single person. But you can, as you will see in the next or the upcoming tutorial, you will see how we can create multiple records. So now that we have this, let me just comment out this so that we can focus on the next ones. So we really don't need this. We need to create the actual collection with real data. So you can copy this, but let me just uncomment this. Let me see how I can uncomment them at once. I'm just Googling uncomment code Mongo DB VS Code. I'm Googling how to do that in multiple way. I did Control C. So apparently if I do Control C and Control K and Control C, yep, so that one automatically uncomments everything. So it's Control C and Control K. So now using this syntax, let us create a real collection. And the first collection I want us to create is for the current, as I'm preparing or making this video, the #1 team in the English Premier League is Arsenal FC. So let's create a collection of clubs. So the name of the collection is clubs. And we follow the syntax, insert one. And since it's just one record, we have the normal brackets and then the curly brackets. And then the first thing that we're going to create is the name of this club. So apparently the official name for Arsenal FC is the Arsenal Football Club. So that is the first field or column for those who are into relational database systems. We can add another info about Arsenal. That will be the nickname. So they're called the Gunners. It's been a while since they gunned down anything. The next field is stadium capacity. So apparently their stadium capacity is 6,704, so that's an integer. We have got the question of whether they have UEFA Champions League. Of course, Arsenal fans, you know that you don't have, so that will be false. And then we can look at founded. So let me look at the date Arsenal was founded. Just quick Google. Let me chat GPT this. When was Arsenal FC founded? I know for sure it's 1886, but I don't know the exact date. So apparently ChatGPT doesn't know the date. Let me try and prompt it date and month. ChatGPT doesn't know that, so let's just use, first of all, you remember the format is this. So first of all, we have to do ISO date, and then we do curly brackets. So if we do curly brackets, it's gonna be, for sure, it's we know the year 1886, so it's an old club, and it was formed in October. For sure we know the month, we don't know the exact day, so let me just have it as first. And then let's add in another field. So this field will contain scorers or all-time scorers of Arsenal FC. For sure, one of them, it has to be Henry. Don't know if it's double R. The other one will be Ian Wright. And then the last one would be Cliff Bastin. The next thing I want us to include is trophies. And these trophies, as you realize, if you are a football fan, you know they come in different forms. So this is going to be a nested field. So the first one is PL, which is basically Premier League trophies. So Arsenal boasts of 13 of them. The FA, they also have 13. And then the League Cup, I think they have 2. And then Champions League, of course, they have 0. So that will be a collection that contain Arsenal. So here, the collection name is clubs, and that collection is stored in the database which we previously named. Let me refresh. So that collection contains the first record about Arsenal, and each of these are fields, and each of these fields represent different types of fields. For example, the first 2, name and nickname, presents a string field. This third one represents an integer. Fourth one represents a boolean. Fifth one represents a date. Sixth one represents an array or a list. And then the last one represents a nested field. So if we run this, we should be able to have our record. So now we have already run it. We should be having, I don't know why, should be somewhere here. Yes. So here is our database called week intro. Inside database, we have got a collection called clubs. Inside that club, we have got document. We have got this document. So our document has been successfully created. If you open it, we have it here. You can see it has already created that document. And of course, you can see on the results section here, the name of the document. So now that we have that, we can go to our Atlas account, online Atlas account, and look at, let's look at data services. It should be under database, and then browse collections. It should come up. So here is the name of our collection, our name of our database, week 1 intro. If I open it, you can see it has got a document, a collection called clubs. If I open it, it's loading. So it has created that, the first record, which is for Arsenal, and assigned it an automatic object ID. So as you do this, it also updates on your Atlas account. So that's why you are connecting this. By the way, for you to run this, you must be connected to the internet. So make sure that when you're doing this, you are connected to the internet, because that is how your Atlas account communicates with your VS Code. On to the next section now. Assuming that you don't want to only add Arsenal, you want to add other clubs, you can actually do that by including multiple records at the same time. So you don't need to do them one by one. You can do multiple of them, and that is fairly easy. The syntax is fairly the same. The only thing that changes is here. Instead of using insert one, you use insert many. So if I want to do that, I can say still the collection name is clubs, and then I'll do dot insert many, and in this case I will have to use normal brackets, and then before that I'll use now square brackets, because I'm going to insert many. And then inside those square brackets now is when I insert individual projects by using curly brackets. So that is going to have my next club, which according to the table is going to be Manchester City. And then I'm going to have my second club, which according to the table is going to be my favorite, Liverpool, the biggest all-time big club, Liverpool. Okay, so let's insert those records, and I don't want us to type everything. We can just copy this and then modify it and paste it here, but now change everything to Manchester City. Okay, I need to copy this. Paste it there, here. So now our next club is Manchester City. So the official name of Manchester City is Manchester City Football Club. They have got so many nicknames: Sky Blues, the Blues, the Citizens. So I'll kind of use the Citizens because that is unique to them. The Blues are also Chelsea. Their stadium capacity would be 53,400. And then whether they have a Champions League or not, it's true they have one. They won it last year against Inter Milan, courtesy of Rodri. The year founded is, I'm surprised that Manchester City is actually older than Arsenal. We don't know the exact dates. Let me try to disturb ChatGPT again to see if it can give us the date. When was Manchester City Football Club founded? That is year, month, and date. Let me see if ChatGPT knows that. Oh, for Manchester City, it can easily tell us. It has said it was founded on April. Really? It was founded on 1894. I don't know if ChatGPT is lying. For some reason, I don't think this is right. But let's trust the AI. So, on April 16th. And they have got a very young history in that I was surprised when I was Googling. Their all-time scorers are Sergio Aguero, and surprisingly, Raheem Sterling, that they stole from us. Sorry, Manchester City fans. And then we have got Sean Cotter. I think this is going to be an easy record for Haaland to dismantle. For now, let's remove the year founded since we are not sure. And then trophies, the number of PL trophies they have is total of 9. That is including when English Premier League was still called First Division. So don't crucify me. Like, no, they only have 5 or 4. No. We are going back when English Premier League was still called First Division. They have a total of 7 FA Cups. And they have 8 League Cups and 1 Champions League Cup. So that is to do with, in terms of Manchester City. The next one will be, let me just copy this again. Let me copy the original one. So the next club will be my favorite, or my Liverpool. So their name is simply, of course, successful club doesn't have to have very huge names. So it's just Liverpool Football Club. The success is in simplicity. The name is the Reds. Simple name. Capacity of our stadium is, that should be Anfield, it's 53,394. The year that was founded, of course, it was very easy to find this because it's a pretty mature club. 1892. On March 6th. And our top scorers of all time is Ian Rush. Then we have Roger Hunt. and then Gordon Hodgson. I'm suspecting Salah might end up being among the top scorers of all time if he continues being at Liverpool. We have got a wealth of history, total of 19 Premier League titles. FA Cups, we have got 8. Then we have got around 6 Champions League Cups or League Cups, 9 of them, and then 6 UEFA Champions League. And I want us for this case to add another field for Liverpool training ground, because why not training ground? So it's no longer Melwood, it used to be Melwood, nowadays it's called Kirby. AXA Cabin Training Facility. And then that means now we have got 2 extra documents, and then I can select this and click run to run it. So once I run it, we can refresh this, see if the documents are there. So you can see we now have 3 documents. That is Liverpool, that is Manchester City, and Arsenal Football Club. So let me just close them, save, and go to the online Atlas account and see if it has updated it. So let me refresh. Yes, it has updated all the 3 clubs. So now we have got 3 collections for different clubs. That is Manchester. You can see scorers, you can see trophies. Same to Manchester City, trophies, scorers. So I want you to pay keen attention. Something nice about unstructured data set is we can combine them irrespective of the fields. Even if the fields are different or some are missing, we can still combine them. And that is why it's one of the most commonly used data sets or commonly used way of storing data, because it doesn't care how they are related. So for example, here we have got Arsenal. It has got scorers and trophies, but when you come to Manchester City, it doesn't have got the year founded, but still we can store it at the same way. And then when it comes to Liverpool, it has got everything, but we have added an extra field, training ground, but nevertheless, that doesn't stop you from aggregating this data set. So that is to do with creating operations in using Mongo DB or simply non-structured query languages. So if you like the video, feel free to subscribe, share, and give it a thumbs up. Tell a friend to tell a friend. In the next section, we are going to look at the second type of operation, which is read. So I'm going to show you how you can read these documents, and then at the last part, we're going to have some kind of updates and also work on deletion. So until next time, bye-bye.